So today we are going to be looking at our release items in a few different groups. So we're going to be covering the admin features as well as some reviewer features. And we have a few smaller additional updates and improvements we are going to highlight as well. We're going to walk through some of the main feature updates and do a platform demo for some of those. So starting out, we do have some admin features we are going to go over. This 129 release does have a couple of meaningful updates for admin, especially teams that are managing productions or legal holds. So the first release we are going to cover is the ability now to have view-only production access at the project level. This means that admin can give user groups read-only access to production cards and production configuration details without allowing them to share, download, edit, delete, or run productions. For teams, this is meaningful because it gives the right people visibility into production details without needing to expand production authority more than necessary. So, with these permissions, users can do things like view a production card and filter. They can export a CVS report or CSV report of production information. They can view counts and other high-level production details. They can open linked document counts in a results table. They can view the production configuration in read-only mode, as well as download the excluded native list and review the production access log. So some of the key benefits of these permission levels include reducing admin overhead for the production tracking itself. It also allows for a centralized production log in Everlaw, and it helps maintain tight control over production distribution. So overall, this is a nice permission update for organizations that want more transparency into production activity while still keeping tight control over who can actually act on a production. All right, the next item that we have here, we do have an update for legal holds. So admins now have the ability to mark a legal hold matter as active or inactive. And this is especially useful when a matter is paused or no longer needs active legal hold work, but you still want to retain the record instead of deleting it altogether. So when a matter is marked as inactive, no new hold notices or data preservations can be made within that matter. And this helps admins keep legal holds pages cleaner. It also allows them to distinguish active versus inactive matters at a glance. And it allows for a retention of historical records without needing to fully delete that matter. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to our platform really quickly for a short demo. So starting out here, I'm on the org admin legal holds page. To get that, you'd go to this little O diamond. You would have to have legal hold admin access in order to do this. So as long as you have that, you'll be able to mark these as active or inactive. So you'll notice now there's this tag here that says active. By default, all matters are marked as active. And to mark a matter inactive, we do have one prerequisite, and that's all hold notices and data preservations within that matter must fully be released. If anything is still unreleased, you won't be able to deactivate that matter. So for example, here's an active one. I'll see that the grayed out portion where it says deactivate matter, it won't allow me to click it because I first need to release all those holds. I have an inactive one down here. Now that I've released the hold, I have the ability to either reactivate it or fully delete the matter altogether. So not only is this going to allow those admins to see at a high level which matters are active or inactive, there now is also the ability on the left-hand side to filter by these. So for example, if I want to see just my inactive matters, I would want to make sure that the inactive box is selected. Or if I just want to see my active ones, I can do that as well. And then again, if you ever do want to reactivate a matter, it is as easy as just going in and selecting to reactivate. All right, and that is our legal holds update. Up next, we're talking about removing parents and containers when deleting. So, when deleting documents using the purge option, which was previously the delete without storing backups, Everlaw now also removes any parent or container documents for that document. And this ensures that when sensitive documents are purged, no remnants remain accessible anywhere in the system, such as via an export. It also helps keep databases cleaner by avoiding orphaned email parents, container files, or other families whose children may have been permanently deleted. We also have some updates around clustering, specifically when you come into a clustering error, there is a display that gives you a case-specific error to help you address that issue more succinctly. So for example, if your search does not include enough clusterable documents, maybe too few documents overall, or files without sufficient text, the clustering view displays a case-specific error explaining that clustering can't be run on that current set. Once you now get this case-specific error, you can address the issue based on that message and proposed options. For example, you may be prompted to upload more documents or edit the cluster search. Or you can return to the cluster page to restart the clustering on a new search. If clustering instead fails due to a transient or unknown issue, you'll see an error state with guidance and an option to retry. In these cases, you can restart clustering on the same search or choose a different search if you suspect that dataset contributed to the failure. Up next, we're going to move on to the reviewer features. So the first one that we want to talk about is that Everlaw now includes a new metadata field called handwriting. So when documents are reprocessed using forced OCR, the OCR optimized for English handwriting, Everlaw can now populate this field so users can identify documents where handwriting was detected. This is helpful for teams working with scanned documents that may contain a mix of printed and handwritten content because it allows them to find these documents systematically instead of one at a time. Once the field is created, it is available as a search term and a column to be added to the results table. Once the field is added to your database, you can make it editable, which allows users to manually add a value for additional documents that have handwriting. Another reviewer-focused update is the new Has PDF Comments metadata field and search term. So similar to our last one, this is now going to be available both as that metadata field and as a search term. So prior to being uploaded to Everlaw, some PDFs have comments added to them in Adobe Acrobat. And these comments might be important. They might add important information or context to that document. Previously, there was not a way to identify all PDFs with comments at once for offline review. With the new release of the Has PDF Comments metadata and search term, your team can identify all the PDFs that have comments so you can review the comments offline. Users can then search the Has PDF Comments, selecting Yes, to find those documents. Once you access a results table, you can download the native files for all of the documents and then use Adobe Acrobat to review the comments. For any databases that were created after the release of this field, the value for the Has PDF Comments field will be automatically extracted, populated, and searchable for all natively uploaded PDFs and processed documents that include a native PDF file. To learn more about how to turn this feature on in a database created prior to the release, go ahead and check out our release guide, which we have linked. All right, up next, we are going to talk about how Everlaw expanded the has linked documents term. the related results table column, and the data visualizer chart. So they now include both Everlaw process native documents and eligible documents uploaded through the processed uploader. Previously, those tools only surfaced documents where Everlaw's native processor extracted the link reference, which meant they processed uploads where left out. This is especially helpful for teams reviewing productions they received from another party because linked cloud hosted documents can now be surfaced in a broader set of data sources. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and move on to the fact management improvements. This release includes several smaller upgrades that improve the overall experience for working with facts and fact timelines. The major improvements include some more flexible filtering options, as well as visibility into who else is viewing a fact timeline. There are clear indicators when another user is working on a fact, and you have the ability to disassociate facts from evidence in batch, as well as the ability to expand reference facts in drafts and depositions to show their description. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into our platform for another demo here. I am going to quickly jump into our project. All right, so starting out, I'm going to come over to our fact timeline. And now you'll be able to see, as I mentioned, if there is more than one person in a fact timeline at the same time. So you'll see your own icon, and then if there's another person here, you will also see their icon as well. And then if you have somebody that is working on the same fact, like you can see a member of my team here is clicking in and working on this fact right now, I can now see that they are actively working here. In addition to that, we have some additional filtering options. So when I come over to filter, I now can select either match all, so select whatever I want in those facts, or I can select match any. So that's going to allow me to have some more flexibility within my filtering options. We also now have the ability to do some additional batch actions here. So if you want to relate facts together, not only can you add them, but then you can also remove them and disassociate them from one another as well. So there's more that you can do both within filtering, within those batch actions, and within those collaboration features. All right, for this last update, I am going to jump into our drafts and depositions section. So now when you are working in the body of either a draft or a deposition, when you are linking that fact, you'll notice that there is this little caret icon next to that fact. When I click in, I'm going to see an expanded version of that fact that also shows me all evidence that I have linked with it. So it's going to allow for cleaner, more streamlined work when working with these facts. All right, we do have a few more additional features. For example, we now have the ability to OCR optimize for English handwriting in GovCloud. Previously, this wasn't available in GovCloud, but now it is. And second, HWP and HWPX file types are now supported in Everlaw. And finally, we do have some visual improvements, including updates to our forced OCR options, the OneDrive and SharePoint Cloud Upload Picker, and the project settings user page layout and styling. All right, so that does wrap up all of the features that I have for you all today. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I appreciate it and have a lovely rest of your Wednesday.